Oh. All right, everybody, I'm back, and all apologies for being a little miscalculated. But क्या है कि मज़ा नहीं आता in Hindi. So a very good evening to all my national and international research friends, and I'm so excited to be here. Of course, I I got a little misplaced. So today I'm going to talk something about neuro-linguistic programming and particularly brainware. Now have heard so much about hardware, softwares that we shall see in the upcoming talk. But how about a brainware? Now this is something that really excites me every time I take my research studies and leaps to my further explorations. So, today we are going to talk about brainware. And how about loading the brainware? Right? We already have a brain box, we have a skull, and we have a very amazing organ, live organ, just like we have many organs in the body. We have a live organ called the brain, which is a super powerful organ. Some people say the heart is a very important organ of the body, and some say that it's brain. In fact, the researchers have found that brain is the most talked about, yes, talked about organ of a human body. Now, what does the brain exactly do, and how can we load a brainware? That was very fascinating for me to take up my research study on NLP. In the due course, I have also become an NLP practitioner, a thought process reengineering practitioner, and I am continuing my research with the Shiksha Anusandhan, deemed to be university, as a research exponent as and assistant professor as well. Right. So, getting over to my screen, I'm so lucky that I got back to my screen because you will come to know that neuro linguistic is all about colors, visuals, noises, sounds, and that is why I was very particular that I should show you something, not just talk about, because some people relate to some colors and visuals and noises, and some people relate to the talks alone. That's the main reason why I just got myself a little fixed, and I'm so happy to get back to you again. So, as the screen goes, it is let's load some brainware. This is an exclusive presentation on the need of using a brain technology. Okay, and this is brought to you by me. I am Monalisa Mishra, an NLP practitioner, TPR practitioner, and a research exponent in this area. So let's decode what is NLP. As the abbreviation stands, NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming. So, what is neuro linguistic programming? This term owes its origin to two scientists. They were basically, one was from the Department of Philosophy, the other was from the Department of Mathematics. Just imagine, they did not have very much knowledge about psychology, but their studies into programming, decoding, and psychological perspectives had led them to come together and devise something that the new generation would just love to implement and get results. So that was Bandler and John Grinder way back in 1970, California. They brought up this new concept, the neuro linguistic programming. So the NLP in research, what is the scenario of NLP in the research perspective? The neuro-linguistic programming has arrested massive attention towards its theory, practices, and explorations since its inception. At the same time, it has been challenged and been questioned upon its credibility of application as it does not undertake a guarantee of solution, but it does induce a great act of self-excellence based on derivative model of excellence. So, quite a many times NLP has been openly challenged about its applications. But since it is very, very therapeutic in nature, it cannot have a very specific result that is quantified or calculated. But yes, the one who has used NLP has got massive results and outcomes. So this is why the position of NLP has been very tough and challenging in the recent studies. Many researchers, therefore, worldwide have been keen on the explorations of practices more than the theoretical framework. And that is the reason why many psycholinguists become NLP practitioners, because they really try to master this skill, this art, and come to know how it works rather than just a theoretical perspective. Okay, so some more reflections. Studies on psychology, cognitive psychology, psychotherapists have also massively dealt with the cognition, meta-analysis of the nervous conditioning, as in Pavlov, Skinner, Jesters, to name a few psychologists. But in recent years, the exquisite blend of the neural lineage with language and programming is becoming very exclusive part of the NLP and has really taken a new dimension. So NLP is a very much hyped term these days. Very recent studies show that NLP is a very popular kind of a discipline. Now, Grinder and Bandler's first book on NLP, Structure of Magic, a book about language of the therapy, was released in 1975. In this publication, they attempted to highlight certain patterns of communication that set communicators considered to be excellent apart from others. So much of the book was based on the work of Virginia Shatter, Chris Perls, and Milton Erickson. It was also integrated techniques such as Chomsky, Bredesen Carlos, and Alfred Kospasky. The result of Grinder and Bandler's work was the development of the NLP meta model, a technique they believed could identify language patterns that reflected basic cognitive processes. This is the good therapy that has been taken from a research journal, and I was very specific in bringing this to the notice because we must understand that the research studies are intensively going on in NLP, whereas it is also captured the attention as a practice. Okay, so moving on. So there goes the structure of NLP. This is imported from a wiki studies, and this is how the model looks like. So NLP is dynamic, it is synergistic, it gives a roadmap, it is full of concepts on behavior. So programming is programming your behavior, the way you organize your ideas and actions, which produce expected and unexpected results. So programming is just like conditioning. How you program, it's just like programming language. The ones that the computer engineers do and children do, we all do. We give a command and we give a program, and the system operates based on the program. Neuro, as the name suggests, it's part of the central nervous system, the neurology, the neural aspect, that is our thinking process, the way we use our senses to understand what is happening around us, right? So, like we respond to a stimulus. So that is our neuro perspective. And finally, linguistic. Linguistic means coming from language. The origin is etymology is language. So linguistic, our words. What words we choose? Can some words really make us feel good about ourselves and others? Can some words really, like we say, rubbish or just get lost? Now these words have a very regression power. Whereas if we say, bravo, well done, amazing, now that's really something that uplifts. So language can be discounting and language can be uplifting. So this is exactly how our neural pathway conditions our activities through certain words. And let me tell you that language is not just words, it consists of visuals, a non-verbal language, and something called as VACOG that we are going to know soon. So this is another way to express NLP. So, neuro is a thinking process, the way we use our senses to understand what is happening around us. Programming is our behavior, that particular attitude, that particular attribute, that the way we organize our ideas and actions, which produce expected and unexpected results. And of course, linguistic is all about the words, the way, language. And just now I told that language is not all about the words and images. They can also be smell, taste, and touch. So this is in precise what NLP is all about. All right. So do you see something similar? And do you see anything different? If you look at the first picture, that is a hardware, you have the external support environment that needs to stack the programs like a hardware. Excuse me for the error, please. It's support. So it's a hardware. It's a collection of the things that are physical entities that give a structure. Like the skeleton is the hardware of our human body. It stores the muscles, the bloods, the vessels, the cells, the organs. Okay, so hardware is the structure. Okay, and we move on to software. It is a delicate operation syndicate of various coded programs as desirable, that is the apps. So we have the Google app, we have the Facebook app, Twitter, and we have lot many other apps. What are they? They are the operation syndicate. They are the working mechanisms, okay, that are protected by the hardware, and they help in the operation or the working of certain attributes. And now coming over to something very different. We have never seen the brain like this. Brain looks like a cauliflower. It looks like folds of tissues. But if we look at it from the perspective of a ware, that is a hardware or a software, it will just look like this. It will resemble like this. That means our brain is complete with circuits and apps and lot many things that is even not explored till now. So this is something very interesting, isn't it? Okay, let's go ahead. Oh, okay. We should not forget the malware. Now, when we talk about the hardware, the software, the brainware, there is a possibility that we can have a malware, and we all are aware of this malware as worms. Like we have the very famous Trojan worm, then we have spyware. There are not many viruses that get into our computer and systems and even phones. So we have a firewall and we have antivirus that prevents such kind of virus. So what is the connection of malware? Can the brain also contain a malware? Can anything come inside, visit like a virus, and disturb the functioning of brain? Well, yes, and that is precisely what we are going to learn in the upcoming slides. The brain malware, the dysfunction. It is a dysfunction of certain brain programming that can act just like the malware. So sometimes perceptions, filters, habits, etc. may behave like brain malwares. So we must be aware that sometimes one particular and one certain habit can become a malware. It can behave like a malware. It may not lead towards a proper direction, and it may really corrode the entire system, our thought process. Okay, now that we have known that the brain is actually a brainware, just like software or a hardware, we need the tools. We need the tools to control software. We need the tools to control the hardware. Just look at this toolbox. So, what are the toolbox that a brainware needs? These are the following. According to NLP, we have lot many tools that help us in operating or functioning the neuro programming. So these are the RAPO, the VACOG, the anchor, the circle of excellence, meta language, swish, strategies, and belief changes. So let us consider each as a tool And let us see how we can treat the malware and how we can enhance the software by using these specific tools. The wrapper, that is the first tool that we have with us. So, rapport building is a very important NLP technique. It is all about relationships that teach people different techniques and strategy. As in the visual, you can see the picture, the image is that of two people opposite to each other trying to establish a connection. And you see two hands trying to establish a connection. Now, this is exactly what rapport does. A rapport is a technique and may be built with someone special, a co-worker, anybody for that matter, even strangers, to develop what is known as a deeper relationship. And the NLP rapport takes the help of VACOG. VACOG, in the next upcoming slides, you'll come to know. Here you can see the major elements of rapport. A rapport can be established by certain techniques like mirroring and matching, the tonality, which includes the voice, the tone, the tempo, the timbre, the volume, the physiology, the posture, gesture, facial expressions, breathing, words. As we know, it is linguistic, so the words, the predicates, the keywords, common experiences, and of course, lot many chunks of content. Another tool of NLP is the matching and the mirroring. This is a brain stretch strategy. We all know small acts of imitation gets us closer, creates a bond and builds a fantastic rapport. Now, in the image, you can see a very popular and familiar face, and maybe both of them are quite popular and familiar. And look at the gestures; they're sharing an equal and opposite, matching um, exchange, a body language, and they're very happy about it. There is no sign of discomfort, right? So that is known as mirroring and matching. So if you really want to bring a person into a rapport frame, what you can do is just imitate the person, okay, but in a very friendly manner and not trying to look like as if you are making fun of the person, just very naturally it can be done. And yes, the other tool, as you can see, is an anchor. And the caption says, ahoy, the anchor the sail, and the response comes, aye, captain. This is a routine expression of sailors. Now, what do the sailors do? How do they uh, uh, fix the ship in a shore? They use anchor. So, what does the anchor do? The anchor actually it fixes up such a big ship. It anchors safely into the port by giving it a very strong grip. So in NLP, anchor is a technique where you can really fix happiness, relaxation, overcoming fear by just anchoring or fixing. Like, for example, you like chocolates, you like a certain fragrance, and that is interconnected to a habit of yours or a good thought. For example, when you eat chocolates, you feel very good and you remember something very nice that has happened. Maybe one day you were very successful and then you enjoyed your success by savoring chocolates. So that can become your anchor. Anytime you're unhappy or you are less joyful, you can eat chocolates and you can anchor that particular condition as happiness. And certain fragrances also lift you up, even some keepsakes. For example, like you have a crucifix or you have a tabiz. Now, what they do, they really remind you of power, strength, energy. So, you can keep them as a resourceful energy state and use it whenever you feel a little discounted or down. So, that will instantly boost up your spirits and anchor you from free you from that regression and will help you to go ahead. Yes, another very important tool is the VACOG. Now, coming over to this very, very important. In fact, in NLP, the VACOG is considered the soul and the spirit of the entire study. Now, as you can see, VAKOG, visual. V stands for visual, A stands for auditory, K stands for kinesthetic, O for olfactory, and G for gustatory. As you can see the pictures. So all these bodily sensory acuities, they have a massive impact over our representational system. Now, what's a representational system? It is a system that enables us to take a decision or to enhance our thought process or the very thought process itself. For example, something you see lightens you up, something that you see brightens you up. So some people are very sharp in their visuals, the visual power. They can see something and they feel good about it. But there are some people who are very auditory oriented. They feel good to listen to the sound of the nature, sound of the birds chirping, and maybe the sound of even bullets. The sound of the bullets may also enhance somebody's energy, the energetic power. And somebody is so very gustatory. Like there have been examples where great wars have been fought over food. Now people having great gustatory powers get their energy from food. As we all know, the world is world famous chefs. They have reached to their heights of success and recognition because they enjoyed food. They enjoyed making food, and they enjoyed sharing all about food, and they are food bloggers today, right? So, our five bodily sensations, our sensory acuities, they are very instrumental in making us what we are. We are what we see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. So each one of us has got a unique inbuilt BACOG experience fabric. Now, based on that, all our attributes and attitude and attributes are resulted. So we are appreciated because of our visual powers, auditory powers. We enjoy because of these powers. We feel bad because of these powers, so on and so forth. So, what is a mantra? The mantra is to be sensitive and be a sensible person. We have to be sensitive to others' back off. Now, the whole point is these are our representational systems. The VACOG creates a fabric of representations of the world we see. But since we all are different from each other and each one is blessed with a different potential, so we have to be sensitive and respectful to what others have in them. And this is, if you are sensitive or if we are sensitive, we become sensible in our own way. So in NLP, the first thing that has to be done as an instrumental help is that we have to know what is our VACOG strength. We have to know what kind of person we are. Now, it's not that a person is only auditory oriented or only visually oriented. The person can be a combination of all the VACOG factors and still be unique in one. So we have to also respect this in others. And the moment we are very sensitive about this for ourselves and others, we become very sensible. So NLP is all about getting to know the techniques and using them as, let's say, mantras, right? Hence, we need to be tame and respectful to the worldview of others. Very important. Our perceptions are not the reality. The map is not the territory. This is a famous rule of NLP. The map is not the territory. Our representation system is not like others' representation system. So we have to be tame and respectful. So by building a rapport, see, all are interrelated. Everything is intertwined, interconnected. So if we are sensitive and sensible, automatically we are instrumental in building a rapport, mirroring, and matching. We are actually trapping the brain malware. We are preventing the malware. We are creating a firewall that attacks the communication parameter of a person. So, because we are doing all these things, we are preventing the virus from entering to the thought process of our brain, and hence we are enhancing the communication parameter and the quotient of the person. So, this is how we can. Okay, so the next tool is very interesting, and you can see the picture. The picture that is very meaningful. Please do not throw stones at this sign, the meta language. Now, wherever we go, we see some signs, some signals, some um, some kind of I can say signals. Sign is a signal, yes, and gestures. Okay, they may be in terms of the words, they may be noises, they may be sounds, and particularly they may be some signs. Let's say we live in the world of emojis. Now, emoji is also a language. We have to understand that language has got a power. So, the language that is used to tell something about a language is known as a meta language. So, if we love to play with the language, we are on because we have the power to rule. And the meta language is that technique that really can make you feel powerful in many ways. So, if you look at this picture, it's a clear signal that it tells everybody who passes by that this is a sensitive area. Okay, and maybe something which is not even stated can be understood. Maybe it is something where a patch of land where children play. Maybe it is something that will disturb the bypassers, right? So meta language is a very, very important part of NLP. And let us see how meta language can have a great impact. We all know the power of speeches, posters, books, audio podcasts, logos. Now, what do they do? There have been influential speeches, freedom speeches, success speeches. Then there have been speeches that even hate speeches for that matter, right? And posters. Posters are really something that kids like a lot. Now, why they like posters? Because the posters tell something about them, and they tell something to them about them and them. Of course, books say a lot. Books are almost a kind of a second tongue or a second mind. Audio podcasts, when we feel bad, we listen to something nice, we listen to music, and we feel good to see logos, right? So what do these do? They are the meta languages. They bring in us our best and even the worst. For example, if somebody heard a hate speech, the whole thought process may be changed. And even erotic literature that can also bring about a huge paradigmatic shift in the thought process, right? So the language is a very, very important tool. In fact, it is a vehicle through which our ideas travel. So we have to be very careful about the language we use and how to use a specific language, where to use it, when to use it, so on and so forth. So because they are meta language, which means language of the language, what you do with the language, right? So wonders can happen with them. Put a poster that motivates you, read a book that inspires, listen to charge up, or self-talk to yourself. Do an introspection to yourself. Meditate, and you will win the war of life, the battle of problems, etc. Right? And you are meta driven. So that tool will help you to really raise you from a discounted position to something that you will really cherish. The next tool is circle of excellence. I'm sorry for that preposition out there. It's circle of excellence. And what you see here is the star. Everybody remembers the stars we used to get in our school copies, and that was a positive stroking. In psychology, we call it a positive stroking. And if we remember our fairy tales, even at school, our teachers made us realize, sometimes at home also, our parents make us realize that we are someone very special, and we can have the halo over our head, we can have that spotlight over ourselves, we can have the magic dust over ourselves. Now, that is a circle of excellence. Please excuse the error here. So, what is Circle of Excellence? Now, the Circle of Excellence is an NLP tool and a technique that trains the brain to understand that you can visualize a particular state or a condition of which you have no access as of now, but you are able to see the future and you are able to see yourself amidst victories. Now, that is a superimposition of a future act of excellence already in the present situation. So, this is a very lovely exercise. So, here is a little more extension of the information over it. Excellence is a brain habit. Yes, it is. It can be. It should be a brain habit. Now, if from the very beginning at the school, when elementary education is going on, if this thing is embedded in a child, the child will really learn how to flip the coin and how to feel good about himself or herself. So, the circle of excellence is an activity or an act that helps a person to elevate himself or herself on a platform of recognition, fame, power, strength, courage, okay, and will help the person to become really a person of glory. So we have a snippet from the web here. The circle of excellence, also called as a ring of the power or ring of power, is a tool using an imaginary circle. You'll have to imagine that yes, there is a spotlight over you on the floor, and there is a spatial anchor. Spatial, you have to occupy a particular space to anchor yourself, to install a new additional resources relative to a situation where different behavior or thinking is wished. For example, one is not feeling good about the performance. Let's say a student does not feel good about the performance at present, but circle of excellence can be embedded, installed in that person with with a particular spatial anchor. Spatial, as we know, space. So that person can be drawn. There can be a circle. You can draw a circle and have the person inside, and ask the person, him or her, to imagine the state or the condition or the time when the person will feel absolutely, absolutely glorified with all the achievements and excellence. So it is just like a fast forward appreciation or recognition that you really do not have, but you can just imagine that you are having it and you are feeling good about it. And once it is there, you will not stop from achieving. So that is a precondition, and that is an amazing tool of NLP. So visualization and affirmation, it's not just easy or necessary to visualize. You have to affirm it. You will have to confirm it. It can direct your brain to foresee your future developments, progress, achievements, and excellence. So we must be eager to load an excellence meta language to our brain that can lead us to a desired destination. Coming over to the last but not the least tool, that is the swish pattern. It's a penultimate tool. We have one more after this, of course, but yes, it's an amazing, amazing. Look at how it sounds. The swish. You just call it the swish. Okay, pattern. Now just look at the picture. In this picture, we have an image that is not very happy, that is like a little frustrated, And look at this part of the image, a very happy face, feeling confident. The body language is feeling confident. And what we are going to do is from this current state, we can really come over to this state by making what is known as a swish. Swish. And how do you do that? So you're dissociating yourself from this condition and you're associating yourself with this condition by just the snap of a finger. So it's a magic spin. Swish. Even you can say that. Swish. And there goes a magic spin. So what exactly is this? We have heard about the magic of Aladdin, jinn, the jinn of Aladdin, the lamp of Aladdin. We have heard about fairy tales, the magic shoe, the Cinderella, the fairy tales, the fairy godmothers. We have read about superheroes and we have watched them also. So, what do they have in common? Swish! They spin the magic. Let's say Amazing Spider Man or Superman. What does the Superman do? He just clenches his fist and he does a swish, takes a turn and goes away. And similarly, Spider Man just spins, webs off and goes ahead. So, in NLP, an instant enhancement and positioning of a positive and a happy behavior by snapping a finger or a clap is known as a swish technique. And trust me, it works. It really works. And NLP is all about, uh, I can say, experiences. It's not more about the claims, but it's more about the results and the testimonials and what a person has personally undergone. Okay, so people have really come out of their dark selves, cocoons, coiling inwards by this swish technique. So let's swish our negative state to a joyful one. And last but not the least, yes, coming over to the end of the toolbox, we have strategies and belief changes. Now, NLP focuses on strengthening your internal resources so you can have some effect, some changes in your life. In neurolinguistic programming, a strategy is a mental sequence used to achieve a goal. Now, don't you think whatever we have talked about are already strategies? Yes, in fact, strategies are very, very particular in their outcomes and they can be described as a sequence of sensory specific terms of the representational systems and submodalities employed. Now, some words you might be finding a little confusing, but there are immense literature and wiki series and lots of blogs. You can very well get in touch with them and, of course, with me. Do not get confused. Just remember that everything can become a strategy, but NLP has got some specific strategy. Like Rapo is also a strategy. Meta language is a strategy. You change the strategy, you get the result. But yes, NLP very much believes in the strategies and it very much believes in the belief change system. So, belief changes are the root of behavior changes. They are the platform of building better habits to enhance the identity. Each action you perform is driven by the fundamental belief that is possible. But we have different belief systems, we have limiting beliefs at a certain point of your life or a career or your relationships you believe that I cannot do this, I cannot do that. Now that is your belief system, the way you have been raised, the way your environment has been, your perceptions, your value systems, your set of beliefs. So you are naturally encountered with limiting beliefs. But by using NLP techniques and tools, you can really overpower them, overcome them. You just have to change your identity, and you have to be ready to change the belief system. Okay, and then it's easier to change your actions. You have to believe that yes, I can win. So that is why I say all are interrelated. You can have a poster that says that yes, I can do, and yes, the language yes is written in bold capital, yes, and followed by an exclamation mark, that it's possible. I believe that I can do. If you believe that you cannot do, you cannot do. And that's the reason why today performance coaches have completely taken up to the NLP uh, resources and NLP teachings and trainings, and they've got amazing and massive results. So with that, we come to an end of the tools, and the caption goes, "Let's brain up instead of chain up." So we should not chaining up our brain. We should not be doing that. We should free our brain, and we should really tap the resources. We must load the brain where our brain will be more resourceful rather than being tied up to some past practices. So, easy practices and strategies of changes can turn your life into a beautiful journey. You have to just ensure that you carry the toolbox of brainware, and the timely eradication of malware will also help. So, we have come to know that certain habits, certain filters, certain perceptions can become a virus. But yes, you need a good NLP coach, and to be and you can just get associated with somebody who is an NLP practitioner, and gradually you too will learn it for yourself. So no need to worry on how to get brained up. It's very easy once you have the interest, and once you know that it's possible to do that. And nobody has been talking about brain where even at school or college it was never taught to us, but yes, it is very much possible. Okay, so I would love to take questions. I love to answer them. I love to explore more, and you can always reach me at the mail destination. And I'm very, very excited to really expand my researches and resources. I have been associated with many practicing organizations. I belong to ANLP Association of Neurolinguistic Programming of India, ANLP India Goa, with Sir David Lincoln and my mentor, Sir Mangesh Das. And I am a passionate researcher of NLP, and I use it in my life. I am a professional thought process re-engineer coach as well. But at the current moment, I am more of a practitioner. So I love to get back to you, and it was really lovely to